good to know.
Sick.
Oh, you're back. That
Oh, cool.
was my fault. All right, I think we're back. And back. Okay, so thank you guys. I don't know what's going on. It'll be maybe an off-season project.
Where were we?
We were talking about
Round robin on Einstein, I think.
there's
no.
nothing subdivision about it,
Oh, yeah.
about these subdivisions besides awards.
And I was frustrated that they shared the awards because in 2013 it was a big deal because remember the last year they shifted towards a model of each team does their own each division does their own awards and there was 100 teams in each division. So it was nice. We went from having to compete against 400 teams for awards. Now everyone can kind of have a shot, out of 100. Now this year by combining awards, it's back up to competing against 150 teams. So it's just really silly, I think, to was it a numbers issue? Like they just didn't want to buy trophies for the other division.
Judges for
Maybe it could have been a judging issue, but I don't know. I'm gonna assume, I'll take that's a good thought. I'm gonna take it as it was a judging issue.
I guess, but I don't know. All right, so that's that. Another talking thing. Just that Einstein was awesome, obviously. Just that there was a 5-point difference to advance through semis into the finals. It was just tight. We'll talk about that a little bit later. So this is kind of, we'll talk about the town hall later as well. But it just seems like, to put it bluntly, first I think is getting too big and missing the little things. Like people were talking about webcasts in the chat. Like not having the API or the first server or whatever available to update rankings for most of the weekend. The Spider and Blue Alliance, stuff like that was just not updated. I just think we're missing the smaller portions, the easier portions, as it's getting bigger and bigger. So I'd like to see us get back to that.
Yeah, I think for me, I just felt like the championship felt way too big. Having 200 teams there, I didn't I don't understand why bigger is better, right? Why is bigger viewed as a bigger championship is a better championship? I thought it was one of the worst championships I've ever been to as far as the practice fields were kind of a wreck at times. There was and every volunteer I dealt with was in a really, really bad mood because they were completely overwhelmed with the amount of people that were there. It was just, to me, it just wasn't a very positive experience. And I could have just been unlucky and ran into, quite a few volunteers that happened to kind of be in a sour mood. But I just felt like everyone was a little bit overwhelmed. Trying to get robots to the field, the whole middle area behind the curtain for each field was kind of a wreck at times. Everything just felt too big.
And I said that because Pat and I were together a lot. I said that to Pat several times. I just felt awful for a lot of these volunteers that have to do not just the crowd control position, but it's just the communication was not great about how things were going to run. So these few people had to tell thousands and thousands of people at times that, no, you can't walk through here because the practice field is closed and doesn't open until tomorrow, or you can't do this, or I knew the badging. I guess we knew that people were going to get badges, but we didn't know you had to stand in line.
Why were there badges? I don't understand.
My opinion about that is that it was purely just so they could have that number at closing ceremonies to say 40,000 people have come to. That's my opinion.
But can't they get that off stims? People have to register in stims,
but you don't know
right?
what people walk up and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. I don't I'm sure, but if you want to be that accurate
in my
about
opinion,
it.
that's, I think, one of the sole reasons. But I don't know if it's more of a safety thing, so you know who's there and who's not. But I don't know.
So I don't understand. If someone wanted to visit, right? Let's say I live in the suburb of St. Louis, and I heard that there was a big robotics competition there, and I went to visit. I had to get a badge.
Mm-hmm. Gary and his father-in-law that came down, they had to get badges so they could go to pretty much do anything.
It seems like just a unnecessary hurdle. I don't understand that.
So kind of goes back to the point where I think it's I called it the Great Migration, like having everybody migrates to the one end of the field for Einstein, but then has to migrate back to the other end of the field for awards. And then I felt like it was, I don't know, just because of the concert and everything, which our team ended up didn't stay for, because our team wasn't a chairman's eligible team. Everybody and so many teams just left anyway because they're not eligible for chairmans. They wanted to get a jump on traffic, just wanted to start the long bus ride home. Wasn't much of a reason to stay in St. Louis unless you were kind of like staying the night, which is another reason of why wasn't chairman's presented anywhere earlier.
Right. And like for 3015, for example, we wanted to stay, right? So 1511 was in the running for chairman's. We were interested to see who was going to win, and we wanted to stay, if nothing else, just to support and respect the award. We had no idea when it was going to be. We were like, okay, well, we can, first of all, we were standing there really, really disappointed that 1678, 118 and company had to accept their world championship trophy in front of maybe 50 people. Everybody went to the other side.
See, I didn't even say
That's
that.
Embarrassing. Yeah. That's embarrassing. And then further, we wanted to stay. First of all, we didn't want to have to walk to the other side because we didn't know where we were going to sit. Getting a big group of students to move to another area of the dome in an organized fashion and get everyone to sit together, that's not an easy task. So we weren't willing to do that when we didn't know. It could have been another hour, 2 hours. We had no idea when they were going to release or announce the chairman's award. So we left, and we felt awful leaving, but we just felt like after a long weekend, we just had to get on the road. And so we felt bad, but it was just awful.
Mm-hmm. It was.
And sure, there's going to be growing pains, right? This is the first expanded championship. Not everything was going to be perfect, but like you said, you just, if nothing else, get the little things right so it doesn't seem like to everyone that first is in over their head, because that's what it felt like to me. They just nothing was really done very well. I'm not sure, from where you were sitting for the finals, was the field echoing really badly?
It was an AV issue. Something wasn't right.
I don't know how Woody did it. It's really hard to talk when it's echoing.
That's what I said.
When it's echoing behind you, it's really, really hard to do that.
But then it got fixed. So I think it was, I don't know if they had a concert, echo, a reverb setting on or something, but it got better, right?
It did get better, but to me, it wasn't quick. I think it was Frank that talked after Woody.
Yeah. Frank and Woody both had to do.
Yeah, that's too long.
That's not a first issue. That was more of the production company. But, yeah.
Still, it just felt like everything, it just wasn't smooth and polished like it should have been, in my opinion. But
I mean, that being said, this isn't Bash first moment. Obviously, to put this on is incredible, and I think everybody had a good time. It was fun. Things did run smoothly for being such a big event. It's just again, to go back to the beginning point is I'm afraid they're getting too big, but forgetting the little things.
Yeah.
That how really important it is for teams to have up to the date data on who's ranked first, who's ranked second, who won last match.
Who's in first? What's on second? I don't know who's in third because the API fell again.
Yeah, and that's what it was all weekend, And people watching at home on webcasts, and again, I think that's another side issue is these production companies that are hired don't televise these things ever. People that do hockey games and basketball games, they do that on the road. That's their career. They do that. They know what to look for. They're being told what to look for. But here in in first, this isn't something that this production crew has ever done before. So knowing that cannon battles are important, they don't know that. Knowing that it's just so that's another side issue is sometimes just these production companies, and they don't know any better, but they just don't know what to look for. I don't know how to fix that. Is that a volunteer position? Do you say, hey, can you provide cameras, but we'll provide people to run cameras? I don't know, but
I just feel like we're kind of bashing first a little bit, but
it's you got to get it out, I guess. I mean, the bad always comes out after. But I said, it was an amazing event, and seeing everybody obviously is a great thing, and I don't know, it was great. Besides these things, and it's easier to talk about the bad than the good, but
yeah. So do you want to do division preview or recaps and then come back and talk about this, or you just want to keep going with these talking points and then come back to it? Do the recaps at the end.
What do you think? Our next big kind of topic of discussion was going to be the town board. But
the town hall meeting.
Town hall, sorry. We can come back to that, I guess, if we want to take a break from.
Yeah.
from this. And again, like, we're not here to bash First. First has given us more than, like, we could ever have asked for, and they do.
We're sitting here because of First, right?
Absolutely.
So,
you know what I mean? So
yeah. I think it's just because we want the best. We want the best for First, right?
yeah.
So we're just pointing out things that I'm
Which
sure everyone
may be
notices.
a good segue into that next topic, but we'll come.
The town hall.
Yeah.
I'll just go into it.
All right. Well, we get it over with, I guess.
So the cool part, first of all, is that the town hall was recorded. I think Sabotage recorded it and also posted the slides that were available. So if you weren't in attendance, you were at least able to see and watch what went on. It was a little uncomfortable at times.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the people on stage weren't always. I think I have to give them a little bit of credit because I think that they responded a little bit better than maybe I would have in that situation. But they're professionals, representing an organization, so it's not like they could have gotten too heated, regardless of how they were feeling inside. But I really felt like the moderator, I don't know who he was or what his. Or did
you say director of programs or something?
I don't know.
Not the marketing guy was like in the middle, I think. Oh no, he was the marketing guy. The director of programs was the guy in the middle that came up with the whole flow chart.
Yeah, I know the three guys that were sitting, right? But
I don't know his name, but I think he's marketing.
Steve. I can't remember his name now. But anyway, the guy that was like kind of moderating and like the guy that told Mike that he needs to, you had a chance for follow up, you need to go. Is it like who is that guy?
Yeah, we don't know. We missed. Did they announce? Were you there at the very beginning?
No, I wasn't.
We
at the
missed
very
the very beginning too,
yeah.
so you could have said. But anyway,
I just thought he was kind of rude and just I could tell that he was more like I think that he was like a professional guy, like a professional moderator. Like I don't think that he was really involved with First. I think he was almost there to just to moderate. So I just feel like he was very. He kind of. People on Chief Davo were kind of worried that some of our questions might set the tone in a negative way. I thought his attitude kind of set the tone in a negative way. Just the way he was like cutting people off and like, people were talking about, like, do you have a question? Like right in the middle of what they were talking. And like, that's just very, I understand his point. He's trying to get, questions so we can move along, get to as many people as possible. But it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
So that being said, like, because they did their presentation, they went through the process that they went through, how they decided on Detroit, how they decided on Houston, that they looked at like 25 different cities or something like that. You can look at all that on Chief Delphi, but they went through that. They went through the process. We all understood it, all that, whatever. Then the question time came up, and I think they were so focused on question time that they didn't let people like just say what they were thinking without. They were really looking for questions without letting people just kind of state their opinion and what they wanted to say. So one of the questions, I don't know if it was Sean or not, but the question was asked very directly, how many alumni are on the First board? Like how many people that have graduated through that were on a First team as a student are sitting on the board, on the First board?
I think it was Jared for 284.
Or maybe Jared, yeah. And the answer was not enough. And then Jared pressed further and said, no, what is the number? How many people sit on First?
Zoe with a chirp.
And they were say,
he wasn't a professional moderator. Professional moderators are non-biased.
So, the answer was 0. That there's no people that have been through as a student, gone through the program, that sit on the First board. So, what are you laughing at?
What Cocolio said after that. That's awesome.
Stop it. So obviously I think they're seeing the need that there needs to be more input from people that are more on the front lines the day in and the day out, and to which Don replied that he visited 18 different events this season, which is absolutely fantastic. And I know Frank gets to events as well, and Woody and all them do. But I think it was clearly shown that there is a need for people that experience this firsthand as a student. So a next thing that Sandra came up, Sandra Brino from 195, she got cut off for her very eloquently put is that First has created this as a family, that championship is a family. It's a time to like have a family reunion, and that these two championships are kind of divorcing our family, and then we can never really see them again. At which point she got cut off and was asked what was the question. So I thought that was a really good point.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it was great. I don't think anything really substantive came of the town hall meeting, but if nothing else, it was, another just kind of avenue for First to obviously see the passion in our community, and hopefully that they can take steps in the future to involve us a little bit more. And I respect what Don said. Is like, people were upset that more people weren't asked of their opinions before this was announced, and he was right. I mean, it's hard to ask 400,000 people what they feel, how they feel about something. So we'll see. I don't think that a decision like this will be made again without at least a more concerted effort on the part of First to get our input. But we'll see.
Yeah. Two more quick points that I took away was Mike Corsetto from 1678 said about how First in Michigan is really thriving and that their model produces a winner. And why is First not more aligning with the district model that they've implemented now in 4 different places? I don't quite remember his answer. But if the district model is what we're kind of going towards and that produces a winner, why doesn't the championship reflect that as well? That produces one winner. The last one was we went through the whole process or something, and then Sean asked the board, have any of you ever vacationed in Detroit? Because it got brought up, like, just the safety of Detroit, and a young female mentor brought up, like, that she's concerned that some parents and stuff are gonna have some concerns about sending their young teenage daughters to Detroit. And that's kind of where that stemmed from. And then Sean later followed up and said, have ever you vacationed in Detroit? And I get it. I mean, I'm kind of on the side of First of this one. St. Louis, not a great reputation. Atlanta, not a great reputation.
Yeah.
I mean, any major city is not going to be great, at night. Every major city has problems. But for Detroit, it really gets a bad rap, I think.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't satisfied with his answer. First of all, his answer was essentially that, don't believe everything you read in the paper. Like, it's not that bad. Yeah. Like, that's not a good answer. What you should have said was, we understand their concerns. We're doing this to combat them. That should have been the first thing he said. The first thing he said was, don't believe everything you read in the paper. I thought that was a huge mistake on his part. And second, he referenced downtown Detroit in his answer once or twice. I'm not concerned about downtown Detroit. I'm concerned about the teams that are going to have to stay 15, 20, 30 minutes away because it's $50 a night cheaper. Yeah. Are those areas secured? Were you in those areas checking them out? Like, I just think that's, he kind of, fluffed off the answer a little bit. And I think that's a concern that a lot of people have about Detroit and any city that we go to. Mm-hmm. So,
right. I mean, I just had forgot about this whole Ferguson thing as well, just the unrest that was there. Mm-hmm. And that was like, I didn't realize that it was on my way home with Mama Flynn. And it was like just a little north of, like, in between our hotel and where the dome was, and we didn't have any safety concerns where we were, but you're exactly right. Like and that got brought up in the meeting as well, because he said that between here and Union Station, you can't throw a rock and, like, not hit a police officer, that there was that many around. But then your same point got brought up there is, well, what about the outlying areas that are going to have to field, 400 teams. So, yeah. So I guess that's it. Now we can talk about the
divisions.
The divisions.
I just want to say, though, just a brief aside, 112 people watching. That's awesome. That's a lot more than we expected. Usually, when Champs is over, people like to kind of decompress. And actually, we invited Frank Merrick to be on the show, but he kind of had to decline just because he admitted that he was just completely exhausted still and trying to recover. So we appreciate you guys coming out and hanging out with us tonight on, arguably very short notice. I think we only said it 2 days ago. So we appreciate you guys watching and all the support you've given us through now our 5th season on the air. So
incredible, man.
It's been great, and hopefully we can keep it going here going forward. And then eventually Nick and Bailey can take over.
Pass it off. All right, so we're going to get things started here in the Archimedes division. You got to say subdivision, right? Archimedes subdivision.
No, I refuse to bend to the whims. No.
Okay, sorry. The Archimedes division. You're going to keep doing that, and I'll do it. Mm-hmm. Okay. One of the divisions that has been around a while. Archimedes featured many quality teams, but one team above others proved that they had the consistency and poise to sit atop their division for most of the weekend, and that was Team 1023, the Bedford Express. Their average was 25 points higher than the next best team, Team 135, largely due to their auto and container score. With their first pick, they selected Team 2338, Garrett Forward, for the number 4 spot, and they added 3996 and 1089 in subsequent rounds to finish off this top-seeded alliance. Once again, the playoffs began, and it wasn't a surprise to see the number 1 seed finding chemistry early and put up an average score of 224 throughout the quarterfinal round. Towards the cut line, the number 4 ranked team just making it through the quarterfinal round was the number 4 alliance of 1640, 1310, 217, and 2383. However, this alliance found the right moves in the semifinal round and headed to the finals as the top-ranked alliance over the number 1 seeded teams. In the finals, however, it was the number 1 seeded alliance that regained the control. In the first match, the number 1 alliance took the win with a score of 190 to 150, but the number 4 alliance knew that they had to step up their game to push it to a third match, and even though they scored 204, it wasn't enough to defeat the number 1 alliance in the second match, who scored 214 and punched their ticket to Einstein.
The Archimedes division.
So that's that. Kind of to go back, we have some pre-planned callers with Libby and 1678's driver. Is he just on? Are they just on standby? Just kind of whenever.
Oh yeah, I was going to send a Facebook
Did you want
message.
to do them when we talk about their division?
I was just going to do it at the end.
Okay. That being said as well, that chat line number that we put up earlier, we can take calls from that as well. So we might do that a little bit. We did that earlier this season. It was really fun. So.
Yeah, so that's kind of how we're going to end the show, I think. To end the show?
To play us out?
To play us out. So we'll talk to Libby. Sorry. Where did you put that stuff?
It should be right. Oh, they should be right next to each other. Scroll down one.
I can't. That's all
It's
I got.
gone.
Is it gone?
Guess so. Maybe it's up here. No, it's not.
It's like the first time Google Drive's ever failed us. I'm not sure what happened there.
Maybe I deleted it by accident. I'll find it.
Colin Nobles naming chairs on Facebook. Mr. Scratchy.
Okay,
dude.
Scratchy.
But anyway, so we'll talk to Libby from 1923. We'll talk to Takumi from 1678. And then we'll just kind of take random calls until we don't kind of feel like taking calls anymore. And then that'll be it. So do you want to work on this one a little bit? I just kind of stopped right at...
That's fine. We got it.
Who was on top after the quarterfinal round. All right, so that was Archimedes. Now I'm going to talk about Carson. So Carson garnered a lot of attention this weekend with 254 always being able to draw a crowd, and they certainly didn't disappoint anyone in the Carson division as they used an average score of 211.1 to take the top spot after 10 qualification matches. With the first overall pick, the Cheese Poof selected fellow California team 973 the Greerbots and added team 999 and 4099 to make the charge towards Einstein. All year long, we talked about the need to play mistake-free, and unfortunately for the number 1 alliance, they just got started off on the wrong foot. Match 1 was going along as you would expect, with 254 973 making tall stacks quickly. However, disaster struck in the final seconds as 973 placed a 6-stack down on top of a pool noodle. How is litter costing teams world championships? Placed a 6-stack down on top of a noodle and causing that super stack to fall into another 6-stack. It kind of, they set it down as time expired, and it kind of the disaster struck even after the buzzer sounded. And then, unfortunately for them, match 2 picked up right where match 1 left off. This time, 999 was kind of, they started on the scoring platform, and they drove forward and kind of tipped into the landfill, which prevented 254 from getting the totes. 254 and 973 from getting the totes that they were required to advance out of the quarterfinal round. So with the number 1 seed in trouble, the division was all of a sudden wide open, and advancing to the finals of the Carson division was the number 5 alliance of 4488, 67, 225, and 5659, as well as the number 2 alliance of 1325, 3339, 20, and 1711. After trading wins in the first 2 matches, 1 more would need to be played to see who would represent the Carson division on Einstein. In the final match, both scores rose over 200 points, and when the buzzer sounded, it wasn't clear who was going on. However, with a score of 227 to 215, the number 2 alliance took the win and advanced to the world's biggest stage. So that was the Carson division. boom, 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 boom. Did you get a chance to watch those videos from Carson 254's videos?
No.
Oh, I just feel so bad.
I watched them. I didn't see the first one live. I saw the second match live though. Oh, I wanted to look at that.
I just felt bad.
Obviously, this game breeds like consistency, right? Like you need to be consistent to advance. I just wanted to see if their scores would have won them in the traditional format.
Yeah, they would have in both matches.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
So, I mean, you just hate to see a team like that. I mean, 254, they make no qualms about their goal every year is to win the world championship. To see them go out in the quarterfinals of their division was disappointing.
It's really tough.
I'm sure obviously more disappointing for them, but it was even disappointing for me as a fan of watching them compete. Just to see them go out that way, it didn't sit right with me, and I really kind of felt bad.
It did.
The rest of the way there. But everyone else should be pretty scared because if it's going to be, are we out of focus? Okay. All right, people. Let's not go crazy. It's like I'm not wearing. Oh my gosh.
Look at them all.
All right, everyone put on glasses. That'll fix it. It's like Hubble, right?
It has a button, does it?
I don't think so. All right, everyone, put up that spread shirt one more time. We'll get ourselves a new camera for next year. Everyone's got to go buy a shirt though.
Yeah, and I was on their driver station side of the field watching, and it was tough. I mean, towards the end of that second match, just when things were going wrong, and you could just tell, like you could just start to see the devastation on the drivers. It was just like really sad, and it was tough.
So that was Carson.
Or should we try like putting a piece of paper?
I thought about that. I can try that real quick. Now we're getting super.
You should show everybody Dozer.
Dozer.
Was it in the thing? Oh, we're back. I think that's much better.
Did it focus again? Okay.
I think.
Almost got me out of my chair.
Maybe not. I don't know.
I'm not sure. I mean, I wasn't there, so like it's tough for me to say. But did people actually cheer, or people like they couldn't believe what they saw? Like there's a difference between someone making a noise because they're cheering, like yes, suck it 254, or like I cannot believe that just happened. Like I think to a person standing in the field, it's probably pretty hard to discern those two things.
I think the timing of the cheers is really important to know as well, because if it's when things were going wrong, if it was when they knocked over their stacks, like, yeah, that's obviously wrong. But if it's like when the scores are presented as well, like it could be the other alliance cheering, like depending on what happened with them too, Like you can't take all cheering like it was against 254 because I know that happened. I know I saw it. But you can't not – you got to remember that some of that cheering could have been because of the other alliance was doing well as well. You know what I mean? So
So this actually is a nice little segue into what I want to talk about a little bit earlier was, so people say it's the flaw of this game, right? Pat just said it's the flaw of this game. So I think that because last year's game was so, like, defense just choked it out at times, right? And I talked to Frank at the Tech Valley Regional in 2014 about that. And he told me at that time that, with only one game ball in play, they would think twice about doing something like that in the future. So I think they were disappointed at how much defense there was. They really want to see a game based on offense. So this year, I think they went completely in that direction and got rid of defense completely. I just said completely twice, very short.
completely.
Yeah, I don't like that. I think they overreacted this year, so it'd be interesting. I'm pretty confident that defense will return. I think defense will return next year because people are also upset about how much referees played a role in last year's game. They took the referees out of the game to a large extent, I believe, this year as well. So I think they went both instances overcompensated for 2014. So
what was your first point? Defense? I missed your second.
Defense and then referees, right? So judgment calls that killed aerial assist. for me anyway. So they went, again, to the extremes as far as overcompensating for that this year. So when they come back away from that edge a little bit next year, I think we really have a chance to have another great game again, hopefully. But I just thought it was interesting at that point and how they might change that in the future.
Yeah.
Can you just click your mouse in like a different spot so I can take over there?
Yep. All right, so we've gone through Archimedes, we've gone through Carson. Up next is the Carver division. All right, so from Carson to Carver, 10 matches were played by each team, and when it was all over, it was another California team that took the top spot, Team 971, Spartan Robotics. With their first pick, they had plenty of great teams to choose from and settled on 17-17, the Penguineers. In the next two rounds, they chose 28-34 and 54-31 and went into the playoffs with high expectations. However, the number one alliance stumbled early and could not escape the semifinal round. Yet another number one alliance that went down.
Crazy.
A lot of them did. It was really interesting. Claiming the top spot in the quarterfinal round was the Hawaiian-led number 4 seed of 368, 359, 337, and 144. They would be joined in the finals by the number 7 alliance of 233, 1718, 4039, and 1425, who were able to advance to the finals as a top-ranked alliance. This division was packed with talent, and nearly every one of the alliance could have represented Carver and Einstein. However, in the finals, just 2 alliances were playing for that right. With just 2 points separating the teams in the semifinal round, we expected very close matches. Both alliances were very consistent. However, there was some disparity between the two. Number 7 alliance ended up putting consecutive scores of 190 and 189 versus the number 4 alliance, which scored 223 and 230 to take the division win and head to Einstein looking for more hardware. So that was Carver. And the interesting thing there, too, is I saw Glenn from 359 on the floor, and 368 declined a pick. They declined from, who was it now? I'll have to find
1986?
it. Yes, they declined 1986, and I don't know if it was 1986.
Who declines 1986?
Actually, I think you're right. I think it was 1986. They declined, and then they picked the Hawaiian Kids, which is really interesting. But shows you that it ended up being the right move, I guess, and wins the division. So that was pretty cool. We talked about before, we get to see both of them compete in the Hawaii regional, not personally, but we were competing that weekend at FLR, so we didn't get to watch much during the weekend. But as we mentioned, that we had to go home and watch it, which is pretty cool to see them two together.
What's next? Hopper?
Hopper.
Ready to pick up on the other one?
Yeah. I think. Tesla. This one? Not done? Oh.
Tesla. So, the Hopper division. Representing U.S. Navy Admiral Grace Hopper, 76 teams took the field looking to represent them on Einstein. Early favorites going in St. Louis were the High Rollers from Las Vegas and the 20-point autonomous robot from the students in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, representing Wave Robotics. Other notable teams included 548, 33, and 2590. As the weekend went on, it was pretty obvious the teams that wanted to work together in the playoffs. Students and mentors from both 97 and 28-26 were side by side during each other's qualification matches. 97 would end up taking the number 1 seed in the Hopper division and, of course, selected 28-26. 548 would end up selecting their friends from Michigan, Team 33. One incredible note is that with the very last pick of the draft, 97, 28-26, and 42-65 selected 25-12 the Duluth East Daredevils. 25-12 were the finalists in Northern Lights and Central Illinois, an absolute steal in that position. The playoffs are one for the ages. Some hard-fought matches, and we would end up seeing the number 1 versus number 5 in the finals. One of the few times number 1, or one of the few times we've talked about so far, have advanced to the finals. Match 1 went to the number 1 alliance, and match in